Have you ever pondered over the difference between paganism, Wicca, and witchcraft? Fascinating, isn't it? These three concepts, though intertwined in many ways, have distinct differences that set them apart. Interestingly, they all have roots in ancient practices and beliefs, which is a testament to their enduring relevance. Paganism, for example, is an umbrella term that can include a wide array of deistic, animistic, and polytheistic religions, while Wicca is a specific nature-based religion that emerged in the mid-20th. On the other hand, witchcraft, which is often associated with Wicca, differs considerably in that it does not necessarily involve any religious aspects at all. It can be purely practical, with its practices centered around working with natural energies to effect change. This is just introductory glance. A deeper exploration reveals far more complexities. The differences and similarities between these three can become a bit fuzzy, and it's not uncommon for individuals to identify with more than one. There are so many nuances that understanding them fully can be a bit of a challenge. Today we're going to delve into their histories and practices and try to better understand their relationships with each other. We'll look at the philosophies that underpin these beliefs and dissect the common misconceptions. So, whether you're well-versed in these areas or just starting to dip your toes, we hope this journey will be enlightening. Today we're going to unravel the intricate threads that weave these three concepts together, and at times set them apart. To commence, paganism, a term that first emerged during the Roman Empire, was initially employed to categorize those individuals who adhered to faiths that were not included within the boundaries of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. This was a time when the empire was undergoing massive religious transformations, and the term paganism became a convenient label for the myriad of faiths that did not align with the emerging monotheistic religions. Over the centuries, however, the term has evolved significantly in its meaning and usage. In our present day, paganism is more accurately described as an umbrella term, a vast, expansive canopy, under which an array of diverse spiritual paths find shelter. These paths, while distinct in their practices and beliefs, share a common thread in the form of a profound respect and reverence for the natural world. Adherents of paganism, known as pagans, perceive the divine as not being confined to deities or holy scriptures, but as an omnipresent force permeating every aspect of existence. Their spiritual practices often involve celebrating this divine presence in the natural world through rituals that honor the cycles of the moon, the changing seasons, and the elemental forces of nature. As we delve deeper, it becomes evident that paganism is more than simply a collection of religious paths. Rather, it represents that prizes nature and perceives the divine as present in all things. This perspective differentiates it from many mainstream religions and lends it a unique flavor within the tapestry of global spiritual practices. Lastly, it is essential to remember that paganism is characterized by a deep reverence for nature and a belief in the divine as present in all things. It is a spiritual path that encourages the veneration of nature and the recognition of the divine in every aspect of existence. In contrast, Wicca is a more precise path within the broad pagan umbrella. This spirituality, steeped in mysticism and reverence for nature, was notably brought to the public eye during the mid-20th century by a man named Gerald Gardner. Gardner was an Englishman and an amateur anthropologist with a great interest in occult practices. He is considered the father of modern Wicca, having founded the tradition based on his studies and experiences. This distinct path was not a spontaneous creation, but the result of a careful synthesis of various spiritual practices, lore, and traditional beliefs. Wicca is distinguishable from generic paganism by its defined structure, which includes a series of specific rituals and celebrations. These rites often revolve around the cycles of the moon, the change of seasons, and other phenomena. One of Wicca's key features is its duotheistic belief system, which involves the worship of a goddess and a god. These two key figures are often associated with natural elements such as the moon and the sun respectively, symbolizing the balance inherent in all things. They embody the divine feminine and masculine, and their worship forms the core of many Wiccan practices. Wicca is typically duotheistic, worshipping a goddess and a god, often associated with the moon and the sun respectively. Now, let's turn to witchcraft. Often shrouded in mystery and misinterpretation, witchcraft is far more complex than mere broomsticks and potions. It's crucial to understand that witchcraft is a practice, not a religion, and its dynamic nature allows it to be incorporated into a variety of different faiths and systems of belief. At its core, witchcraft is about harnessing the power of nature and the cosmos. It is an ancient practice, tracing its roots back to the earliest human civilizations. The practitioners of witchcraft, known as witches, employ magic or supernatural powers, aiming to influence or foresee. It's not as sinister as it often portrayed. Rather, it's a deep connection to the elemental forces of life. The relationship between witchcraft and Wicca often leads to confusion. While it's true that Wicca and witchcraft have some common threads, they are not interchangeable. Wicca is a neo-pagan, witchcraft religion that was popularized in the mid-20th century, but not all practitioners of Wicca are witches. Similarly, there are many witches who practice their craft outside the bounds of Wicca. This brings us to the conclusion that while witchcraft and Wicca are interconnected, they are not two sides of the same coin. It's often associated with Wicca, but it's essential to remember, not all Wiccans are witches, and not all witches are Wiccan. So, what are the similarities? Well, let's delve a bit deeper. The three pillars we're discussing here, paganism, Wicca, and witchcraft, though distinct in their own ways, are inextricably linked through their common reverence for nature and the divine spark they acknowledge in everything around us. They recognize the beauty and sacredness in all aspects of life, from the largest mountain to the smallest insect, from the shifting seasons to the moon's phases. They see the divine not as a distant entity living in an unreachable heaven, but as a pervasive force present in every blade of grass, every drop of water, every gust of wind. Their spiritual practices are tied to the rhythms of earth, celebrating the turning of seasons, the cycles of the moon, and the ebb and flow of life itself. They draw their power from the natural world, believing in a living, breathing earth that is to be revered and protected. Another common thread that weaves these belief systems is the importance of personal freedom. They do not impose a set of rigid rules or dogmas. Instead, they encourage individuals to seek their own path, to explore and discover their own spirituality. In this exploration, they tread gently, respecting all life forms and emphasizing harmony with nature over dominance or exploitation. In these belief systems, you won't find a concept of sin as it is viewed in certain monotheistic religions. Instead, they follow a code of ethics centered around harm none and personal responsibility. They each value personal freedom, and they reject the concept of sin as seen in certain monotheistic religions. However, there are key differences too. Paganism is an umbrella term, a kind of a broad, sweeping category that brings together a variety of different religious and spiritual beliefs and practices. It's a term that is used to encompass a multitude of different faiths, each with their own unique characteristics and traditions. Within the vast spectrum of paganism, you will find practitioners of Wicca, the followers of a contemporary nature-based faith, which is just one of the many diverse paths that falls under the larger banner of paganism. However, paganism also includes a multitude of individuals who follow other, non-Wiccan spiritual paths. These could be old or new, based in ancient traditions or modern interpretations, but all are distinct from Wicca in their beliefs and practices. Wicca, in contrast to the larger umbrella of paganism, is a specific, well-defined religion, with its own rituals, deities, and systems of belief. It has a structure of worship and a clearly defined pantheon of gods and goddesses. It is a religion that is characterized by its reverence for nature, its belief in the power of magic, and its emphasis on personal spiritual development. Now let's talk about witchcraft. Witchcraft is a practice, not a religion. It is not tied to any specific faith or set of beliefs, and its practitioners can come from a wide variety of religious backgrounds. It is a practice that focuses on harnessing the power of nature, of the elements, and of the universe itself. Witchcraft can be incorporated into a variety of faiths, including but not limited to Wicca and other pagan paths. In summary, paganism, Wicca, and witchcraft interweave and intersect in intricate and multifaceted ways, creating for an extensive network of uniquely diverse spiritual paths. Paganism, in particular, is the umbrella term that encompasses a myriad of these spiritual paths, including the specific pagan religion of Wicca. This variety within paganism contributes to its rich tapestry of faiths, traditions, and practices. Wicca, on the other hand, is a more distinct branch of paganism, which emerged prominently in the mid-20th century. It has its own unique set of rituals, deities, and modes of worship that set it apart from other pagan paths. Wicca, though rooted in paganism, has its own identity and customs, defining it as a separate entity within the overarching pagan framework. Lastly, witchcraft is a practice, a unique methodology that doesn't necessarily equate to a religion. It's a technique that can be incorporated into a wide array of different faiths. It freely transcends the borders of traditional religion, blending seamlessly into pagan, Wiccan, and other spiritual paths. And finally, witchcraft is a practice, not a religion, that can be incorporated into many different faiths, including pagan and Wiccan paths. So remember, while these three may share some common ground, they are each unique in their own ways. The terms pagan, Wiccan, and witch are often used interchangeably, but to those who identify under these labels, the differences can be immense. Each represents a unique spiritual path, influenced by a variety of factors. Paganism refers to a range of spiritual practices originating from ancient polytheistic and pantheistic traditions. Wicca, on the other hand, is a more defined faith, established in the 20th century, inspired by older pagan beliefs. It emphasizes reverence for nature, the goddess and the god, and the celebration of seasonal cycles. Witchcraft, which can be embraced by pagans and Wiccans alike, is the practice of casting spells and invoking magic. These paths intersect and diverge in myriad ways. Some Wiccans practice witchcraft, some pagans identify as Wiccan, and some witches with neither paganism nor Wicca. These distinctions are not hard and fast rules. Rather, they offer a broad structure within which individuals can find their spiritual home. Choosing to identify as a pagan, a Wiccan, a witch, or a blend of the three is a deeply personal decision, shaped by individual beliefs, experiences, and practices. It's a choice that often evolves over time, reflecting personal growth, learning, and spiritual exploration. And that, in essence, is the beauty of these paths. The freedom to choose, to explore, and to connect with the divine in a way that resonates with each individual's unique spirit.